And we're live. Sorry for running late. Welcome to the live RWBY podcast. I am the author of The Nephilim Strain, coming this summer. I am Mediocrity 4.
It is I, high powered, and I just want to bring something to everyone's attention real quick, as I feel it's appropriate to crack open a beer, enjoy this ASMR real quick. All right, there we go. I'd like to make a toast. Uh, we've been doing this for 5 years, 5 whole volumes of RWBY. We started in volume 4, and it's been over 5 years. So I figured,
Six. Six
Yeah,
actual seasons.
yeah, that's six, man.
It's like
yeah,
seven or
whatever.
it's like 7 years of actually doing it too.
Did you
Whatever.
crack a beer open before
I did
this?
crack it.
You're
I
bad at
cracked
math,
it as
like-
I was speaking. But still, I just wanted to say, like I want to make a toast to this volume, to the podcast. Some people have come, some people have gone. I'd like to say I'm still coming, and I look forward to more with y'all. Cheers.
Well,
Salute.
phoning it in just like the writers did for the last episode of this volume. It's Dude.
Yep, and in the immortal, I'm going to first of all just go ahead and apologize for whatever my sound quality is right now. Unfortunately, I got to do this on my phone because my internet is being really dumb. So, yeah, I am Robert, and also sorry that I haven't been able to be as involved in this in this podcast this volume, but I am here for the finale.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry for nothing. And I hate all of you. And I hope you all suffer. I hope you hate my audio quality. And I hope you hate that I have shown up for this podcast so often. Die.
My opposite, my polar opposite. Perfect.
I was gonna say, Robert, your first mistake was apologizing for your audio quality. We're not even in a car. We're driving.
yeah, dudes, this volume has been a pain.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks for making me feel better.
Yeah, and it's actually okay. This is why I don't like doing it live, because I have to keep worrying about this stuff. But with the single image, it should be fine. It should matter that we're dropping frames. Anyway, so this episode happened. Volume 9 is over. It was a good volume, and this episode was really, really good until the people started talking.
Yeah.
I
I'll be
feel like
honest, I
three
rewatched the
seconds in.
episode, and as soon as the tree started talking, I'm like, yep, I'm good. I don't need to watch anymore.
They
You
couldn't
and
pick the
all the
landing.
celebrations.
Yeah.
Disappointing. I'm mad.
I feel like my big. I don't know. I guess there's a part of me that feels like there wasn't enough said. There wasn't enough of the right things said. I guess is my feelings about this. But yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of
Basically, I don't like the lore in RWBY, and I don't like their not so great attempts at connecting this world to Remnant. It sort of makes RWBY. So my biggest problem with this is she didn't earn what she did in this episode, right? Like all the good stuff that we've been seeing about, her journey this volume, about how she was sad girl RWBY. Yeah, I wasn't on board with it at first, but I really liked it because she earned being that upset in a way, right? Like nobody talked to her, nobody asked her how she was doing. She's gone through a lot. And they showed all of that. They showed that she was getting upset. They showed that she was starting to break. And therefore she earned fucking breakdown and drinking the drinking the Kool-Aid, right? But then, if you really think about it, from when she drinks the Kool-Aid in episode 8 to when she gets out of the tree in episode 9 or 10 or whatever it was, 10, not a very, very short amount of time has passed. Like minutes, maybe an hour, right? Or a couple hours. I don't know, but very short period of time. And she goes from willing to basically commit harikiri to, oh, I'm enough. I'm fine the way I was. I'm back to being me again. What the fuck? Where does that come from? She didn't earn any of that. What
Well,
in her conversation with the armor? Where did that come from? The only thing that she got as a hint of that being a thing was her mom, like her remembering her mom saying, "I love you just the way you are." What the fuck? You were pissed at your mom earlier in the volume. What the fuck? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, this is not just like, oh, kind of a fumble at the end of the volume. No, this is a complete fucking disaster. She did not earn. I don't hate the general idea of her still being herself. We figured she would be somewhat similar to herself by the end of the show, but to do it this quickly and with no actual journey whatsoever from the bottom back up to the top, it makes no goddamn sense, and it's not earned at all, and she's exactly the way she was before. We got nothing out of it. But I'm so fucking mad, because they did so many things right. It's Renora all over again. They did a bunch of great shit with it, and they fucked it at the end.
yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Like, and that then somehow made her realize that she was somehow good enough. Like looking back on it, at the time, I didn't really think about it the way you think. But like, yeah, looking back on it, that doesn't seem to kind of like flow on a good track of reasoning, I guess. But you know, it's I guess I was too happy at the time with that she wound up where I thought she should, that I didn't really take the time to think about how she wound up there while I was watching it. But yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, I probably should have reasoned that out a little bit better.
So, as far as Ruby's lesson goes, because I think this volume has two problems now, both in this episode. One, and the one that irritated me more was the exposition dump, because that could have been summed up in 3 seconds, or at least 3 sentences.
Well, they kind of already summed it up.
Whereas it was in like 10 minutes. The other one, as far as what Dude was saying about Ruby, so the lesson here is that you are good enough, and that you deserve to exist, which is a good lesson. The tree seems to only do like macro transformations, and the smaller transformations are up to you. So Volume 10 has some big shoes to fill, because if Volume 10 doesn't like follow through on Ruby's development, this volume is going to get a whole lot worse in hindsight.
Yeah, that was my complaint, and that's what I'm worried about, because I'm assuming they're gonna, just knowing the writers, I'm expecting them to treat her exactly the same, and like none of this really ever happened. Now, if they don't, and she does come out more mature and changed, then my complaints with what happened will go down. They're still going to be there, but they will have gone down, because it's not the worst ending we could have had. Like,
oh yeah,
her regressing back to a child or something like that would have been more annoying. Her coming out of Summer Rose, oh my god, that would have been so much worse. So it's not the worst. It's still one of the better volumes, and it does depend on how the next volume handles it. It has stuff has to change. It has to have an effect. But I guess it was like, this was gonna be the best volume, and it's not clearly the best volume anymore because the ending wasn't as good as it should have been. And yes, more exposition dumping. God, the gods. I fucking hate the gods. I said that the last when we first saw them. Stop explaining the magic. It's bad.
Yeah, just
I
leave all
disagree,
the
but
leave all the weird lore stuff to the schizophrenics that enjoy RWBY.
I
That,
think
like, as they're sitting there hitting their meth pipe, and they're like, "Ah, yes, I see it now."
I think
Um,
the way the cat had explained it earlier in one of the other episodes, I forget whether it was the one right before this or an earlier one, where it was like, yeah, the same gods made this place and then abandoned it the same way they abandoned Remnant. That was probably enough to explain this whole place right there. Just that one little sentence. I was kind of fine with that explanation. Like, I don't think I needed further explanation of how this place got created, because like that it fit with what was previously thrown at us, is that, like, yeah, God created this place, they didn't like it, they abandoned it, and it makes sense that they do the same to a different place earlier, and the cat would be pissed about it. Like, it's kind of like a serial relationship with these guys. I've been totally fine, and I was fine with just that amount of background. So the last half of this particular episode was sort of it was too. I wouldn't say too much exactly, but yeah, it was too much. It was unnecessary. It was you could have chopped that whole half off and done something totally different with it.
Yeah, like
But
I feel like this episode, like that half of this episode, really needed Team RWBY and Jean, but mostly Team RWBY, to like talk about what the fuck happened this volume. Like I'd even go for a recap of like, so that just happened over what we got.
yeah, as they're like staring at like Tree Neo, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, maybe we could like sit down and like talk for a little bit too." And then like
Kind of help
like
I think
prevent.
that should have been. I think that should have been episode 9. Or,
No, because
or I think,
RWBY broke out.
I know. So I guess what I'm thinking is that episode 9 should have been where Weiss, Blake, Yang, and Jean basically, have kind of, or like talk to Ruby's statue, basically, like, yeah, we don't know if you can hear us, but let us, but there's clearly some things that we should have said that we need to say, and that we're going to say, and like, just have them take like a little bit for them each to say something there. And part of my problem is that, I don't know, is with the whole like you are enough thing, and I guess the point of, like, I don't know, showing her the thing of like the summer flashback was supposed to be just like, your mother was human too, she had struggles, she had problems, so you're not, you're not bad, or you're not, a bad person for having problems, for not having all the answers all the time.
yeah,
But
they
those
just
feel like,
plagiarized Media's Rue Beyond with the Summer and Raven bit.
They kind of did, and I'm happy about it.
yeah.
Hey, whenever
But
you
so,
make money, you can sue the piss out of Rooster Teeth and just be like, "I don't want
No,
any money. I just want control of the Ruby IP."
no, I
that's
wouldn't do
that's
that. And
fair.
also, that would be a waste of money because I would absolutely lose. Like there's no legal leg for fan fiction to stand on. In fact, oh god, what was it? I just saw it in the news. Something like that was happening, and I can't remember what it was.
It's probably either Disney or something to do with
No,
Nintendo.
hold
Those
on,
are the
hold
only
on.
two games.
Also, real quick,
Oh, and Star
they
Trek. Star Trek has sued fanfic authors for fucking ever. Like, that's been like their main thing. I don't know what the deal is with him, but whoever it is that's head of whatever studio has Star Trek at any given time is like, we got to go after those Trekkie fanfickers. We gotta kill them. Which, to be fair, I am totally in support of. I hate Trekkies. I don't like Trek. I don't like that my dad's favorite Trek is Next Gen and not Deep Space Nine, and I will argue with him until he's dead about that, and I'll win because I'll probably outlive him.
Well, you just have to beat up your dad to prove your point. Might makes right.
I don't do that unless he's drunk and trying to get into a fist fight with me.
Also, real
yes,
quick,
Robert.
didn't didn't we talk about like one of the issues was that nobody asked, and they even addressed it, that nobody asked how Ruby was doing. Has anybody like actually addressed that or apologized to her since?
Yeah, no,
No,
still no.
no,
So
no. They
No.
they haven't even really talked. They had the line where
Yeah, they
like,
didn't
no,
even
no,
yeah.
she's none of those things. She's not broken or lost or lonely. That's why we follow her or whatever it is that Blake says.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that. So
it's like
yeah,
platitudes. It's like
That's
whispering
not yeah,
sweet nothings.
yeah.
It's
yeah.
calling your girlfriend babe.
It's so
To be fair,
disingenuous.
So they haven't.
so maybe
Sorry,
that
can I
works.
finish what I was saying? Or
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Robert.
sorry, but yeah. So they and yeah, that's where I think that should have had them saying, talking to her statue, saying, some things that need to be said. Just take a couple minutes for that, like at most 4. You have the, and they could have had that in, episode 9, and then you have, and then have the blacksmith basic, and yeah, and yeah, because I feel like the problem of like idolizing her mom and wondering if she's enough are like the least of her problems right now, kind of like the problems are the stuff that we've been talking about, the fact that nobody's taking looking out for her mental health, the fact that nobody's trying to keep an eye on how nobody's asking how she's doing and stuff like that, and the fact that she's blaming herself for a lot of stuff that isn't her fault. Pierre's death, Penny's death, they made their choices. That is not on her. She's not responsible for the, choices that other people made. She's not responsible for Ironwood going, AWOL like he did. That's not on her. And so, that's
Yeah,
something that probably should have been said. You should have had a like I don't know, the way I picture it going is Weiss being the one to tell Ruby that, telling her, you're not responsible for, the choices that these people have made. You're not, and like looking at Jean because he needs to hear this too, and saying, you're not responsible for Penny's death. She made her choice and stuff like
yeah,
that. And just having them, like talk to her, even if she can't, or yeah, and even though she's in the thing and they're not sure if she can hear them, but then have the reveal that she does hear them, and also have the blacksmith basically say like, you know, you feel, is being Ruby Rose really that terrible? Think, you're not just giving up, all of these responsibilities and problems, you're giving up these, people right here. You're giving up these friends, these memories. There's so much more that they could have, that should have been discussed, that like, and yeah, I don't necessarily hate that there was talking. It just wasn't the right talking. They weren't talking about anything relevant or actually important. It's the same thing as my problem with like, or yeah, with what happened with like the whole argument of whether or not they should, Atlas should blast off into space, is that all they're talking about is, oh, you're leaving Mantle behind. It's like there is so much more wrong with this than that. And that's kind of because, and yeah, that's kind of what's so frustrating to, and I don't know, that's
yeah.
I
I
feel
was
like
I
that's
was
something
actually
that simultaneously kind of keeps me coming back to Ruby, but also drives me crazy about Ruby is there's a lot, as I feel like 95% of it is good conceptually. I feel like 95% of it could work, but they keep taking like these really lazy, they keep trying to resolve it in really lazy ways, and they try to resolve it with like these empty platitudes. It goes all the way back to volume 1 when Weiss's response to everything that was going wrong with her and Blake was, I don't care. and that's all she says. And and then like and then Ice Queendom comes along, and like the whole premise of that show is basically fixing that empty finale in volume 1. That's basically what it is it's like, wow, that was a really lazy ending. Let's fix that. That's essentially what Ice Queendom was. And so and that's
Yeah,
basically
this
and
was
that's
actually
basically what
very
happened here.
similar.
Is they're just like, there's so many issues, there's so much that needs to be said and discussed and resolved. There's promises and changes that do need to be made, and Ruby would still come out of it as the same person, but as a help, but the same person with the same ideals and same goals, but with a healthier way of dealing with things. But instead, they're just, you're good, you're enough. That's it. You're enough. That's all you need to.
Yeah.
That's all I
Do,
need
do
to
you
hear.
want to know what I'm gonna
And
make a
it's just
food
so lazy
comparison?
and yeah.
Do you want to know
Yeah.
what Ruby is? Ruby is probably the most lazily prepared Caesar salad ever. It's all
Yeah.
iceberg lettuce. There might be some like olive oil in it, and it's not even like good Parmesan cheese. And the croutons are the same croutons you could buy at your local grocery store.
To
Yeah.
be
Like,
fair, I like the iceberg best in the Caesar, so the iceberg part is actually fine with me.
well, the
I like
iceberg also has like 0 calories too, so it's like you're just eating like raw fiber, which is good for you because it'll save your asshole whenever it comes to like hernias and stuff and
I mean,
hemorrhoids.
yeah,
I
but
know.
like the regular leaf lettuce is also not very much different. It's just it's literally just texture is the only difference you're talking about here. Like,
Yeah,
So
like
I was thinking Ruby's more like, did anybody ever watch or hear the criticism of that show, 13 Reasons Why?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I don't
So,
even know
was
what
that the
that
date
show
rape
is.
show?
yes,
No,
I
no,
watched
it's
I thought it
it's
was
the
the one that
Suicide Show.
the
Yeah, it's
the
the
suicide.
one that
suicide
glorifies
date rape
suicide.
show.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the suicide and rape show. Yeah. So
Being
the
a
thing,
good Christian boy, I
here's the thing.
understand.
So 13 Reasons Why was a show that was supposed to be about like preventing suicide because that was the whole theme. It was about a girl who commits suicide, right? And so the idea is kind of an interesting idea that, she leaves these tapes and all this stuff, but it's executed so fucking poorly that not only was it a bad show, but people got fucking furious because it was so, the way it was done is it basically encouraged suicide. That's essentially the way it works.
Yeah.
Because the girl kind of gets like revenge from the grave. And so it's very much actually encouraging suicide, right? I kind of feel like the idea is good. Like I kind of get the idea. The execution was so poor that it was like it went backward. I kind of feel like a little bit that's what this volume was. Cool idea to have Ruby go down Depression Road and go down, Sagbo Ruby Road, but they don't stick the landing and they don't actually resolve any of the actual mental health issues that she was going through in any way whatsoever. And characters that were partly responsible for her poor mental state don't actually apologize or learn anything really either. They just say mindless platitudes. And so, if anything, it's encouraging people to do what Ruby did and go down the dark, depressed road and fucking drink the Kool-Aid. Like
Yeah,
they don't.
But you
and
don't
then
Yeah.
just
have
and
you,
then just not because okay. So
Yeah.
I have some thoughts. So as far as the way the tree works, as we know, this is or this was the best option. Again, what needed to happen was Team Ruby talking things out and getting to a place where they can prevent something similar from happening later down the road. Because it actually kind of dawned on me about 75 minutes into that 95-minute exposition dump where the Jabberwocker has probably died like a lot, especially since Jean has gotten there, and it always chooses to be the Jabberwocker. It chooses to not change. The cat doesn't because its job is to give its heart to things. The cat's never died, and so the cat was never able to kind of have that mental refresh that Ruby has in this across these last 3 episodes. So I like that Ruby was like, no, I am good enough. I don't need to become a completely different person. I just need to, well, the the better lesson would be to grow up a little bit, and who knows, maybe that was her takeaway. We won't know until volume 10. That's the problem. But Robert, you
I
brought
don't
up
think it
you
is
you
gonna happen
you,
in
you
volume
brought up
10
you brought
because
up volume 1, and
Mhm.
I like that you brought up volume 1 because I have a very similar complaint about the volume 1 finale that I've been very open about, which was that the action and stuff was pretty flash in the pan and fun and stuff, but it was ultimately meaningless because the second half of that episode was just people talking. Now, this I think was a better finale overall than Volume 1 because it actually had Team RWBY fighting together, whereas in Volume 1, Weiss and Yang kind of come in after the fight is done. Like, yeah, we're all a good team, and we totally didn't help you with your, moment of crisis there. Um,
Mhm.
but it is still very similar because, at least in Volume 1, they talked it out at the end. This volume, they haven't yet because they spend the whole back half of this episode getting exposited at. Um, but
and
I.
and I don't think they're going to in volume 10 because I listened to the roundtable thing for the episode that the writers all did, and they were way too busy patting themselves on the back for a bunch of stuff that didn't happen. So I don't think they're go so unless I don't know, unless more people realize that unless more people call them out on the fact that they didn't actually talk about shit here, I don't think they're going to because they're too busy thinking they did something that they didn't. Because yeah, they're like,
Well,
oh yeah, they dealt with so much stuff here. When? Fucking when?
They brought, here's the thing. They brought up all these things. They just didn't resolve any of it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why
So
I was so pissed at the beginning of this podcast. It's like they brought up some great ideas. They brought up some great points. I'm glad that Ruby as a character and as a show went down a darker path. But then they didn't actually resolve any of it. That's the big problem. And that's my point is I think I mean, I'll be happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think they're actually going to address it next one, as Robert said. I do think I kind of like Robert's idea of them talking to Ruby in the tree, but I think would have been a lot better than what they did is if if they were talking to her through the tree and somehow maybe Ruby like heard what they said, and that's what affected her, and she grew and kind of came to a realization through
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
like
yeah. No,
kind
I
of
think the
walked her
same thing,
back
and
from
that's
like changing.
Yeah, it would
well,
have. She could have grown up and realized, and they still could have done the thing with her mom. That plus hearing her friends not care about her, apologize to her because they need to fucking apologize.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Jean just needs to apologize. So yeah.
and also she needs, and that it was a way that she could realize, like they could tell her how needed she is. Right? Could have been a really fucking emotional scene. Like I would have, not that Barb can act well enough, but have them crying at her, at the feet of her fucking statue, and you know they they show how needed she is and how important she is, and that would have been a lot more meaningful.
Yeah.
I
And
think
yeah, I
that would
do
have
think that
gone.
in this scenario I described, yeah, Ruby hears it. They don't know if she hears it, but she does hear it. And yeah, the blacksmith, yeah, like I said, the blacksmith kind of says, this is what you're leaving behind. Are you sure about this? So
Yeah, well, because the blacksmith is like employee of like all time, is best employee of all time at like the suicide hotline,
Yeah.
which is basically what like the blacksmith is. Because the way
kind of,
that
yeah.
she talks is like very, it's like, oh, it's like it's very, it's like
Soothing?
non-confrontational, very soothing, and it's like, there, it's not like the blacksmith never like challenged Ruby at all because
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, you've got all these options here, it's like she is the most
She's
like
helping her
low.
through the process, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the most low pressure salesman possible, which I'm not saying is like for what she's doing that's actually like good. Um
Yeah.
But
To an extent.
I mean, she's
I
trying to
don't
help her
know.
be her best self. So yeah. it's
yeah,
good.
like I do think like if they wanted to like improve like episode 9, like I do agree like with them like talking to like Tree Ruby, and like that's kind of like helping her like walk back from the edge.
Yeah.
I think that would definitely be like really good. Um, like that would definitely like improve like the last episode, because then it kind of feels like it's a bit more earned with her just like coming back out as normal. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I would even have been fine with like, oh, they like just like updated her outfit or something. Like that would have been
When
like
she
a
comes out
perfect like,
slightly older. Yeah.
yeah, like slightly older, or they updated her outfit. Like something would also even help too, where it's like,
Yeah.
like that.
Well, apparently they really want her to be with Oscar, so meh.
I
Yeah.
well,
I
I don't.
mean,
I don't think she's
aging
gonna. I'll
her
be
up would
honest.
help with that, though.
Would
I
it?
mean,
Well, I
what are you
mean,
trying to
I don't know.
go
I
the
don't. I
public
don't
school
know.
teacher with Ruby? You think she should start hitting on kids that are at least 5 years younger than her? No.
Yeah, that's illegal in most
He's
states.
2 years younger than her, so yeah, currently.
Yeah, clearly that's not enough years younger.
But no,
She needs to
media's
be.
thinking about the
Us
old man and
about the
nobody
fact
else.
that Ozpin kind of offsets any age difference argument, but
Yeah.
so speaking of age, I want to talk about Jean because I really liked him
Okay.
in this
Yeah, what did you
episode.
think?
Ooh, John's good.
So the whole fight scene I think was spectacular, and it really started kicking off when Jean came up with a strategy.
Yeah, that actually worked.
He actually
Yeah,
came
yeah,
up with a
John.
strategy
Oh yeah, that thing
that
Yeah,
worked
yeah,
and was
John.
cool
Yeah, John
and
pulled out
interesting and
that
built
dark,
on
that
everything
dark
that.
wizard pack that Neo couldn't handle and coughed up the cat. And
Well,
then,
and
and
it
then the
goes back to it like it pays off a lot of what we had seen earlier in the volume with like the herbalists and stuff. Like it actually paid that stuff off. So when Neocat like inhaled the smoke, she had like the same kind of mind trip thing that Team Ruby had in like what was it, like episode 4 of this volume.
Yeah. And that
And
Jean
then
had at the
there
beginning.
now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of Neo, like boofing on the dark wizard pack weed that killed Tupac. I didn't notice this on my first watch through because I was watching it at work on my phone. Also, fuck Crunchyroll and like not wanting to work on your phone half the time. I
I have a
didn't
hard time
notice
getting it to work on
this.
my computer. It works just
You
fine
know,
on my phone.
yeah, it actually works great on my phone. It works like shit on my computer.
Are you Android or iPhone?
Android.
iPhone.
Oh, fuck me, dude. I'm Android. Okay, no. But back to my point. I
Sorry.
didn't notice this initially, and it added more impact. It was so it had Neo's parents in it. It had Roman in it, obviously, but it also had Ruby, and then most importantly, Cinder was in there too. And I'm like, oh, okay, that definitely helps this out right there too. Like I didn't even notice that on like the first watch through.
I really don't care if Neo takes revenge on Cinder or not. I really don't want her to.
Well, I think Neo is done.
I honestly don't care if we never see
She is
Neo again after
staying.
this episode.
Yeah, it looks to me. I mean, she has the option because that door isn't leaving. So she has the option to go back to Remnant whenever she wants, and she could, that could be something that happens in like a future volume. But I really think she's going to like become the new God King of the Ever After, basically. Because she technically has had the power of both the cat and the Jabberwocker. She could be like the monotheistic god of the Ever After. Neo. A character
Man.
Monty created because he got bored of animating Roman getting into an airship.
Man, just imagine worshiping Neo. Oh man.
I can.
Speaking of good bits in this volume, whenever I told Dion, it's like, hey, you know that lady Shigo? You need to get a girl like Shigo. She's a ride or die sort of lady.
I mean, to be fair, Neo kind of was like that. The problem was that the guy driving the motorcycle died too early, and so she had to drive it herself. but she's a girl, so she was really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I really
The
don't care if we never see her again. And I
Me
don't know.
neither.
I
she'll
kind of feel sorry for the cat
show up at
actually, because it's like I don't know, because like the cat was basically just cursed with this horrible mindset, that he and no way to really undo it. And it's like you get totally obliterated. Neo gets a second chance. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah, the cat is basically like an SSD or a hard drive
Yeah.
that you've had on a computer that's like 15 years old, and you don't even know what CC cleaner is. And that hard drive is just like, please reformat me. Please.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the cat seems like a pretty tragic character, and they're just like, nah, you like I don't know, like of all
The
the
end
I
was
don't know of all
very
the villain deaths that we've had so
unceremonious.
far, this is the one that feels the least earned to me.
Well, I think
Cat's
that's
like,
why it works that Neo's the one that killed the cat, was she just like
mm,
spawned in the Jabberwocker with her
Yeah.
Gmod gun, and then the Jabberwocker was like, yes, non-consensual vor, my favorite. God damn it! I hate how that's a fucking thing on this podcast now. Where's
Yeah.
my gun?
yeah, yeah.
Under your pillow?
So yeah. I mean,
Sorry, I
there's
went
not.
all over the
I know
place.
there's not a whole lot to like really talk about with the action sequence, but I do want to say that I love Ruby in this action scene. She looks slick and cool. She
Oh
looks cool.
god, her
She
reveal.
looks cooler than
Looked
she's
good.
ever
That
looked.
was
Oh
And
god,
she
her
goes
reveal is
she goes
so
harder.
good.
She
she
goes
said about it is
harder.
that it looked good, it just didn't feel earned.
She goes harder in this episode than she has since like the red trailer. Like that animation when she is just going ham on the cat was just like it convinced me that like this was going to stick the landing, and then the talking happened. But we kind of
Yeah.
glossed over the Summer Raven stuff from the beginning of this episode. So
Oh yeah, I do actually have something slightly to say about that. I was I was under the impression that Raven had completely cut contact with everybody for a long time, including Ozpin, who was supposedly the one who asked her and someone got her to do whatever
Yeah.
mission was that wound up getting.
I don't
Um,
think Ozpin had anything to do with this. I think that was the cover story that Summer was using.
Mostly I don't know.
wait,
Thing
what?
that I thought was weird about this is that so there's I'm assuming that there's about a 27-month difference between Yang and Ruby's births, or it's like or yeah, it's like 7 months, like take away 3 days and stuff
I mean,
like that. So
that's the
apparently
absolute minimum.
in over a course of 18 months, Raven decided she wasn't cut out to be a mom, left Tai Yang, he got over it, married Summer, and they conceived Ruby. Like over a course of 18 months. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
nah, I'm
that's
sticking
doable.
with my adultery plan.
I mean, here's the thing: does happen in real life. Plus, you do have to keep into account. Not that this really matters, but like again, their society, people die a lot. They fuck and get married and have kids very young.
It's the old R versus K selection theory, and these guys are very K selected. They're
Also, have you looked at fucking Summer Rose? Man, that lady's fucking stacked, dude. Like,
Dude,
goddamn.
I don't know.
I don't
Man, dude,
I don't
It just doesn't seem
ascribe
plausible to me.
I don't
It
I
just
don't
doesn't.
ascribe to any of the polycule theories, but it was fun seeing people just thirst after Summer and Raven on Twitter being like, yeah, they were totally fucking.
I
Oh my gosh.
literally, it's what's the joke? Entire. Oh, who did the entire team
Entire
joke?
team. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was oh god.
That was a
I feel
meme.
well. I
That
feel
was a
like
meme.
I feel like I knew
All the
his
way back in
actual
Volume 3.
name,
That was a meme from all
but-
the
It's
way
like a
back in
V4
Volume 3.
meme.
yeah.
Entire team, Crow. Entire team.
That's
Yeah, as
But no,
as
I don't
I
know. It's
mean,
just one of those things where it's like, if you don't, I don't know, where I'm just like, you're gonna have a timeline no matter what. You either write it yourself or the audience writes it for you from the little bit of context clues that you give them, and it's gonna be fucked up no matter what you do. So
I don't
it's best
I
to
don't
just
really
figure it out yourself and really think about it. So that's just,
I don't
I don't know. That was just one of the that was. I know there was more to it than that, but that was my big takeaway.
yeah, I don't really think the fact
Is
that
Raven's
Ty
just like,
Young
oh yeah, I wasn't cut out to be a mom. You figured this out in like it took you what 3 months to figure that to like
I
come to
always
that
thought
conclusion? What the fuck, lady?
I always thought that Raven just wasn't interested in being a mom, and so like, and this
and
this is
also
this is
wasn't
this is the way
interested
this
Apparently,
is
in
the way
BuzzFeed
this is
they
the
work.
way I
they
wrote it, where
confirmed that
like,
she was married to Tai Yang. So
well, like, and this is just the way I wrote it, so there might be just some headcanon affecting like the way I viewed this, um, where Raven got pregnant, but she didn't want the kid, but Ty did. So she only stuck around long enough to see the kid born, and then left like immediately. That's the way I wrote it, because she was already planning on leaving anyway before she got pregnant.
yeah,
That
That makes
I
sense.
mean,
I
Is
don't
it?
know.
that's sort
Is
of
I,
it?
I would at least assume that like Raven would like do it long enough to where like once Yang is like, oh, like I don't need a nurse her anymore. It's like bye. I'm going for
Is it even?
cigarettes and a gallon of milk.
Is it even canon that Ty and Raven were married, or just that they had Yang?
That they had Yang. I
Yeah.
don't
yeah.
So
I don't remember if it
in
was mentioned. It would have been
your
in
mind,
Volume 2, which I haven't watched in a long time.
Raven was
I
probably
think
just
one of the
fucking
games confirmed that they were,
That's it.
or that. Go ahead.
I think it's just Raven was fucking. I mean, again, it doesn't really matter, but they don't even have to have been married, so that makes more sense for the.
Apparently one of the games confirmed that she was married to him. They confirmed that she was a
The
wife.
games aren't canon. The games are as
Yeah.
canon as that shitty
Apparently,
Justice League movie that I'm gonna have to watch sometime next week.
oh please no. Oh god. I
No,
Yeah.
don't
it's
want to
probably
think
gonna
about
be
that.
2 weeks.
That was
Like as
so
soon
stupid.
as I'm done with all the editing work I have to do, that's next on the itinerary is watching that Justice League RWBY crossover, because like
I'm sorry.
I make RWBY content. I've talked about DC Comics before. I'm a comic nerd. I kind of feel obliged to watch it, but man, I really don't want to.
That's,
Who
I mean,
even
I
wrote it? Like, who are the writers for it?
Oh god,
I
I don't know. I don't know. I've not looked into it. I do know that it is like a direct adaptation of the RWBY X Justice League crossover comics, of which I read the very first one when it came out, and it was awful.
okay. Well, I mean,
But
good luck with that, I suppose.
yeah, no.
If you do
I,
want to drag
I
somebody on
yeah,
to
no. I
talk
was
about
on board
it,
with Ice
yeah,
Queendom, but I cannot suffer through that garbage.
I was on board with Ice Queendom too, and I didn't watch it, and then I came on anyway. So I could just do the same thing. You could just have you watch it, and then all of us comment on you.
Yeah.
That'd be
I
wonderful.
was thinking about kidnapping Sock because he doesn't know anything about DC Comics, and I could just use that as an excuse to talk about everything aside from the movie.
Also, a Mediac.
Perfect.
I kind of
Yeah.
like watching disasters, so I might be down for that.
Yeah, sure. It's it's a pretty good.
Yeah.
It looks so bad, I would probably laugh at it. That's why I'm
Yeah,
down.
it's
Because it looks
it's gonna be well over a week before I have the time to sit down and watch that, because as I indicated as soon as we started the stream, I have to do the final round of edits for Nephilim Strain, and I also have like 20 minutes worth of Quint footage to edit within the next 8 days, 9 days, 8 or 9 days. I have to put all that together. So I have my work cut out for me. It's one of the reasons why we're doing this live, so I don't have to edit. So that I don't have to
There you
edit
go.
this and have it render and stuff.
When did that movie even come out?
It comes out. I think like this weekend. I think it.
Oh.
I think it actually it might
Technically
already be
speaking,
out. It might
it's
already be out.
out
Yeah.
through less than legal means.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It got leaked at Redbox, and someone uploaded it, and I think the official release is either the 27th or 28th. I think it's Friday, whatever Friday is.
God. Imagine being the Redbox employee that leaked that. Like, really, you're gonna that's worth leaking? Like, why would you even bother?
Yeah, I know,
Honestly,
I look forward to that Stern talking to. I would love to be a fly on the wall during that.
yeah, that would be like, so you link to this, what is it, Ruby Justice League thing? Yeah,
Like,
I did. Why? Man, I don't know.
There's just so many things that like. Apparently, people who have watched it at like whatever convention it was aired at liked it, but I don't trust any of those people. There's so many things just design wise and based on like what characters they picked. Like Green Lantern, for instance, they could have had Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, John Stewart, the black one, Guy Gardner. But they went with a Green Lantern that nobody has ever cared about and who sucks and who like completely defeats the entire point of Green Lantern.
What is this Green Lantern? 'Cause
I
kept up with it.
can't remember her name. It's like Jess something, but basically she's Jean. She's Jean, but a girl. And
Oh man,
Wow,
I
the
will
best
say
type
this
of
though: the Wonder Woman man, yeah, Wonder
Yeah.
Woman in this and the bit is good. But I've always
But like,
I mean,
having a social anxiety superhero, whatever, is cool and interesting when the powers are like random or not their choice. But Green Lantern is a job. Those rings are sentient. They choose people based on their capability of like dealing with shit. This Green Lantern makes no sense.
maybe this
so
Green
your
Lantern
thing is
really
social
has like
anxiety,
ring
really?
anxiety. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like you've got a ring that is also an autistic spurg, and it was like, man, I need the most autistic spurgy person to wield me. That's the only way.
Yeah,
And that's
definitely
I've
no
seen like
autistic
three
GF.
clips. I've seen like three clips from RWBY X Justice League, and one of them is Jean being like the mentor figure to a goddamn Green Lantern.
Oh, what the fuck? That sounds weird.
you
So
gotta
So
you gotta
question
take what
for you
info you
is
can get.
because I am actually kind of curious about this one. Is Batman a faunus in this,
yes,
or are
yes,
those wings
and
his
it's
resemblance?
really dumb. He is a fauna. He got turned into a furry for like no reason, and it's so dumb.
Oh my
It's so dumb.
gosh.
I'm gonna need some like pop. I'm gonna need to like buy some
Doesn't
popcorn for that.
that completely
Oh,
destroy
Yes,
Batman
yes,
I
it
Forever?
wonder who this
does.
Batman guy is.
Yes,
I don't
The
know.
whole point
yes,
of
giving
Batman,
I
Batman
don't know. It's not like there's
superpowers.
anyone with bat wings wandering around.
Like,
the whole point of Batman. Okay, I don't even know that much about comic books, but that is fucking beyond idiotic. Because the whole point of Batman is that he was scared of bats, and so he becomes, what he fears. But if he's a faunus, that means he was a bat the whole time. So
Maybe
what the
he
fuck?
was scared of himself. Maybe
So
he had
but
stealth
like
speed.
no, it's not just that. It's that he could fly with those wings, which means that
Yeah,
Batman now has superpowers. He is now also
oh my
Hawkman.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Okay,
it's
no, I
not like
have
the
to
whole
watch
appeal
it.
of Batman was that he was the guy in the DC universe who didn't have superpowers. It's not like that was his whole appeal or anything.
Oh, it's
But
just YouTube.
anyway, back to this episode. Although,
Wait, real quick.
is there?
Media.
Yeah.
If I watch this, at some point, can we do a podcast shitting on it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it. It's
I'll
not
watch
so
it.
late.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So, is
We'll
there
see if I
there
feel like
anything really to
torturing
talk
myself.
about with this episode? Because like I have no interest in the actual details of that exposition dump. I like that it's
Well, I
using the
mean,
same 2D animation. Oh, Jean gets de-aged, kinda. I say kinda because
yeah,
he
He
still has the
still's
white
got the
streak.
gray flex.
Yes,
he still has the
and
gray streaks in his
and
hair.
he still like
I will say
remembers
this.
and stuff. He didn't get reset,
He's
which is
basically
good.
5. He basically gets the treatment of 5 from the Umbrella Academy.
yeah, he's got the gold and silver hair, which is like the blonde version of
Which
something.
I
Oh
like.
yeah,
Which I'm
He still remembers. I'm glad that he
I like.
has all of his fucking shit he went through. That's good.
Now, does that make
hope
White Knight more or less funny?
Yes.
Left.
More funny.
I did think I thought it was cute, that little giggle from Weiss. So
Yeah.
And
It's like, yeah, I know what you're. I still know what you're
gonna.
gonna look like when you get older. So,
Yeah,
Huh?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
not-
And I
Weiss,
did think
Weiss
he-
is
I-
dripping. She's
he's
like,
not-
yes, I need that arc inside of me right now.
I don't
I don't
even
know.
like White Knight. I never liked White Knight, but this volume like won me over to it. Like this has been one of the funniest aspects of this volume is just Weiss thirsting after Jean.
Oh, it's so cute. I
It's-
love it. It's great. It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
perfect.
it's great.
It's still my second choice for Jean ships, but I am fine with it. I am on board with it. I don't know. I'm still a Lancaster stan, but no, I am on board with this. I thought that giggle from Weiss was really cute, and yeah, just her totally crushing on him, just the irony of that was
Well, it's
yeah.
like
I thought that just all volume. I thought that was really cute. So
she
I'm on
has
board.
insurance on her investment.
Yeah, a rich girl always
that-
knows what
Yeah.
stocks
very
and
important.
stocks to invest in.
It's like if you're dating somebody and you see that their parents are still thin and good looking, then shit, you know you're investing properly.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's always important to meet the people you're dating, parents. Also
only
their
reason,
older
huh?
also their older same-sex siblings too is another good way to check out too.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
mean,
if you're worried
want-
about your potential wife like ballooning up, just go meet her parents.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that like other than that, there. Well, in terms of like the excess superfluous stuff that they added on, like I said, it was all sort of superfluous. Like the most possibly negative thing I could say to it is that like they decided like having two gods do the stuff that was bad. We need to have like a fully benevolent Venus of Willendorf, Earth Mother goddess to be the actual one true god of the setting. That seems like maybe a little bit of a subconscious stretch on their end, but that's all I would say about that. And as far as like John de-aging, it's fine. Uh, you know, you, I don't mind. The ultimate thing that came out of this whole volume is basically just not having to deal with Neo anymore, presumably, hopefully, and uh, Blake and Yang are a couple now, as opposed to when they were a couple before, but not officially enough. And so, like, really, we got, I would say, of this volume, 25% of it was maybe kind of something that actually changed.
Yeah, it's all about if Ruby actually comes out a changed person, which, like we said before, unfortunately seems like won't be the case.
Oh yeah,
Also,
I had another thing about it.
Jean's
Like,
voice. Jean's voice going back to being super young makes no sense because he's like 19 or 20 canonically. Dude, your voice, you don't. Who hits puberty that late, especially in a world that has kids so young? Doesn't make any
some
fucking sense. But yeah, I
hey,
got to
look,
go.
some
Sorry,
people
I
are
got to go on. But Yeah, mad at the ending. It's not the worst, but I'm disappointed, and I'm gonna go watch the shitty movie later, so meaning I can shit on it.
Okay.
I was yeah, but
All
I
right.
was
Have a good night.
I would say that like the John getting his yeah, I would say John getting his having his voice go back to as it was I mean,
Yeah, I'm
his
gonna miss
voice
the old
didn't
voice.
really change that much as into the old version, so it wasn't that big of a change back really. Um, but like yeah, in terms of like Ruby changing whether or not she did, I don't exactly think she did because the I think it was mishandled and it was mishandled in more ways than just like how she came to the conclusion that she is enough. I'm not sure that the conclusion itself is actually like dead on to what it should have been, as far as I'm thinking. Because like thinking back on it now, I kind of like disclaimer. Uh, Stoicism is sort of not a one size fits all personal viewpoint philosophy. It's like a wrench. You can't hammer nails with a wrench. I mean, you can, but it's really you'd be better off with a hammer. But if you ever do need to wrench a nut and tighten it or loosen it or whatever you want to do, a wrench is really good for that. Stoicism is kind of like that in terms of philosophies. But in this case, I think Ruby did actually have kind of a pretty good nut in that uh, I don't think you are enough the way you are is kind of like well no it was I forget exactly the wording of it. It was more like you're you're
This
you're
nut will fit
you're not
whenever I bust out the gas powered impact wrench out of 10.
yeah yeah it's like it was you are enough. I don't think it should have been you are enough. I think it probably should have been more like you are all you've got and you're not going to get more. So you got to deal with that. I think it should have
Yeah.
been like
Or like
a lot
you're
harsher of a thing for her to realize, especially with what is how she got that flashback with Summer. I think that's what I was trying to think of earlier, because like that flashback with Summer would have been way better had that been the conclusion rather than the way where she ended up. Like, because Summer was all Summer had, and it wasn't enough, and you getting hold of Summer isn't going to be enough, and you weren't enough before. So what do you got now? Well, you got to deal with what you got. That's like
Yeah. Well, and
so I think
I
thinking
almost
or
feel like that was kind of takeaway in volume 8, or at least that was one of my takeaways in volume 8, because like I re-listened to a lot of those podcasts while I was at work over the last few nights, but I forgot that Ironwood had a plan in volume 8 that was really dumb, which was that he wanted to use the staff of creation to take Atlas even higher into the air and hope that Salem just gets bored and gives up.
Yeah,
That
fucks
was his
off.
yeah.
plan.
I
Like,
mean, it's not a bad plan.
And
It's
no,
a
it's a bad
plan.
plan. It's like atmosphere and people not being able to breathe and stuff like
yeah,
that. You
like
know, things.
they have their artificial biomes that are, you know, run on dust, and dust uses its power, or dust loses its power when it gets to a certain altitude. That's why they had to blast Amity Coliseum into the air like they did. Um,
It was
like
also why the entirety of Atlas was basically like a strip mine crater underneath them, or as far as I was reading into it. But
Yeah,
like,
well, you know what Mantle is? Mantle is that meme where it's like it's the pipe and it's like pouring into like the fat capitalist's mouth, and then you have like the worker like all like skinned bones, like feeding off of the trips. That's basically what it is. It's like, it's like Atlas is the capitalist and Mantle is the proletariat T-man who is not a socialist or a communist.
I mean, that
That's
basically
basically what
was
they wanted us to think, yeah.
you know.
But so
It-
I actually kind of like your. I think you were spot on there, Coop, with the tool analogy because you're right. Ruby's not really enough as she is. She's a 17-year-old. She's 17 years old. She's taking on an immortal witch with farming equipment. She's one person. And yeah, I think the message should have been more like, you're not alone. You're not the only person taking on this task. You've got a lot of other people, and like, to use the tool analogy, yeah, you're a wrench, and over here you've got a hammer, you've got a screwdriver, you've got a bunch of other people to work on this huge project with you, and you need to rely on them, and you need them to help you. So yeah, I think that
probably
would have
would have
been a
been
really
better
good
than my
message there.
idea.
Yeah.
My idea works better if it's like a solo hero, whereas yours does work better with the whole friendship theme of the show, I suppose. But like that's yeah, I look, I'm a really, really, really kind of like hard nosed dick dude. So like
I can be
I
too.
I do prefer the sort of like uh Jake in Chinatown style of dealing with things over the various Power Rangers ways. But
Okay.
that's like
Gotcha.
that's so if I leaned that a little bit too much, but I feel like the the friendship thing probably would have worked too, and it would have forced those other people that don't bother interacting with each other in spite of spending 90% of their time together throughout the entire show. Uh, it might have forced that on them. So that is probably a better idea for it. That they also didn't do. Like, so
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it. Like, it's it's a little bit of it's sad that they didn't capitalize it in precisely the right way. Because like Ruby, one, her herself is not enough, especially not when she's just gone back to the exact way she was before, which wasn't enough previously. So, like she, there had to be some different conclusion there, I guess. And also, fuck Venus of Willendorf tree goddesses. All my buddies are Skyfather gang.
So I have one last rant, and this one is actually in Ruby Volume 9's defense. Before we get into questions, so anyone else have any other thoughts on this episode before I say my piece to wrap up this part before we get into questions?
No,
Sure, yeah, if
but
I may.
I wanna fleece the audience for money because media has bills to pay. So
That's right, audience. If you give us money,
send
I
in
will.
some donos. Tell us what your favorite
Read his
Volume
books.
9 bit has been, assuming
I,
we can even get donos through YouTube.
Yeah.
if you
I
send
mean,
us enough money,
if they want to, the option's there. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying.
I promise.
Yeah.
I promise, guys. Send enough money, I will completely reverse my position on all tree Earth Mother goddesses. Okay, I will become full hippie coop.
Well,
The raccoon emoji will
as a
become
member
my
of
personality.
Christian gang, all tree goddesses and gods are heresy, and you will burn in hell for the rest of your life for rejecting our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So keep that
But
in
I'll get.
mind, you filthy pagans. I will find you and I will baptize you until it takes, or you will drown.
I'm not gonna touch that one.
Me neither.
I'm a recent. I've only converted like 3 years ago. I'm a zealot.
So
So
at
I
during
just
the
wanted to sum up.
oh yeah, you go ahead because this is gonna be the last
Okay.
thing we talk
All
or last thing I say before we get into questions.
Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to sum up my thoughts here. Like, I don't know. It is pretty much, like I said, this is pretty much kind of par for. I feel like this is pretty much kind of par for the course for Ruby at this point with me. Is that I feel like there is so much potential that is constantly going to waste, which is simultaneously the thing that keeps me coming back, but also the thing that drives me crazy about it. And yeah, I feel like they just didn't quite stick the landing. I feel like there was so much more that needed to be discussed regarding Ruby. I don't know. I don't hate the concept of the gods as much as I used to. I don't know. I, I started reading Brandon Sanderson, and so I saw what it can look like if it's done well, and if you have an audience that is patient enough to, put up with that really, really deep lore building stuff. I've seen how it can work if you have the patience for it, if your audience has the patience for it. So I didn't totally hate the exposition, but I do feel like there was much more important stuff that needed to be said. I'm mostly okay with, you know, where things seem to be going. I just feel like this needed to be more earned. I'm I'm hoping that with Jean now aged down, first of all, I hope he goes back. Like, I hope he loses the banana hair and gets himself a ponytail and starts growing out his beard again. I think Weiss would love that definitely. But I'm also hoping there's at least one scene in Volume 10 where some like guy in his mid 20s is like, "Who are you kids?" And Jean's just like, "Hey, son." And, ah, crap or something like that. Just forgets for a moment that he's not like 45 anymore. But no, I don't know. It's a lot of conflicted feelings right now about this volume. I do agree that it's not the worst volume, and this wasn't the worst ending, but it does feel like it kind of fumbled the ending. So yeah, those are my feelings there. So all
So,
right.
All right, media.
but
I'm gonna have to
before
interrupt
we,
you because
I
I
was
gotta
I was
read.
gonna get
I
those.
gotta read
Okay,
off
you
two
can.
donations. I gotta read off.
Oh,
I'm the moderator. I will read these donations.
okay.
Thanks, Quiet Message, for the $10. Curious Cat taking shots at the writing was still a highlight. I 100% agree. I always enjoy whenever characters read the script. Also, Secure, my favorite Discord schizo that I enjoy talking to all the time, who called a good chunk of this episode. Yes, just smirk after Weiss's giggle was Kino. I hope they
Honestly,
have like 12 kids together. Babies are gonna be walking out of Weiss's pussy like a fucking Stargate. All
holy
right.
shit. Fucking
Stargate.
a, a
They
$3
listen to
donation.
Dane Cook.
All right.
That's what
So
that's from. That's Dane Cook one.
yeah.
Yes.
This
Yes,
is
it
amazing.
is.
We should do the live thing more often so you get more money, media, so that you can,
There we go.
like, I don't know, churn out more books or whatever it is you do.
Yeah. So at the outset, like during our preview podcast, and then again during our first podcast for the volume, and sprinkled throughout this whole volume, I have said that no matter how good this volume ends up being, no matter what ends up happening, no matter how much of it is of consequence or how little of it is of consequences, people would accuse this volume of being filler just because it is separated from the Salem plot. And I was right, because people are accusing, like, after this episode, even more so than, in some of the prior episodes. Now, I'm going to, for the time being, ignore the fact that filler is specifically about, like, adaptation stuff and adding stuff to adaptations in order to pad things out, pad out the runtime, or pad out a production schedule. This was a whole production pipeline that had a beginning, middle, and end, and it had its own story. We can pick apart that story. We've levied, and I wanted to save this for the end because we had a lot of criticisms for this episode and how it handled a lot of the stuff that has to do with this volume and the volume going forward. But Team RWBY is at a different place now than they were at the end of Volume 8. That alone means that this was not filler. you can make arguments that some of this volume was padded. You can make arguments that not everything in this volume worked, or that not all of it was good, or that it was poorly animated, or whatever. But I don't think you can argue in good faith that this volume as a whole was.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost.
Uh-oh.
No,
The
no,
FBI Depth Squad's got media.
it's my keyboard. It's being on push to talk. It's not my internet. So because I've seen a lot of people who were saying that before this volume even started, cherry pick the evidence and ignore the fact that like Blake and Yang are now a thing. Jean now has decades worth of experience that he still remembers. RWBY was able to process what all happened in the prior volumes. They are now in Vacuo. The final shot of this volume is ships from all over the world in Vacuo. We see Amity Coliseum in that shot.
Yeah.
We see Atlas airships, Mistral airships from like volumes 4 and 5. We see Veil airships from volumes 1, 2, and 3. We see new airships that I assume are going to be the Vacuo equivalent. RWBY's message worked. Everyone is kind of coalesced in Vacuo, and there's also this really dumb big thing where it's like, oh, it's not where you're going, it's when you're going. Like, where is also important, but where is pretty obvious as soon as you look around and see nothing but desert. So there might have been a time skip. I don't know. We'll have to find out in Volume 10. I just wanted to say my piece about, like, this volume isn't filler. Things happen. They'll remember this. They'll reference it. They might even tie it in later with whenever the relics get brought back and we get the gods again. Like, it's gonna... And Neo is now off the table for now. Like, that's a change in the status quo. Neo is no longer hounding. I would say that more things of consequence happen in this volume than like volume 1
or volume 5.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe not volume 5.
No, the volume 5's problem is that it had too much of consequence happen right at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, no, things happened in volume 5, but it was done poorly, and I think you're right there that as poorly even if this was poorly handled, and even if I don't know, a bunch of that's even if Jean's, a like new experience isn't ever really brought up, or if Neo comes back right away, like this, I don't know. Again, it's kind of the I don't know the potential thing. This volume wasn't useless. It didn't have to be useless, and it didn't have to be so damn frustrating. Like, yeah, no, I think there was plenty of this that would be worth trying to salvage. That in my little fic, whenever I get back to it, I would want to try and salvage a lot of the stuff in this. So yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff here that's worth keeping and worth holding on to, in a lot of ways that you can make a lot of this matter more. So I think that's what's important. So no, I don't think people should just be writing this off as just filler. So I agree with that.
I mean, both of you might be right, but here's the thing. Being right isn't going to convince anybody, and they're all going to say the same thing they've been saying before. You howled up the wind. Congratulations.
That's basically all we do.
Yeah, that's
basically the whole thing here.
Truth.
I doubt we change anyone's mind about what they think of this show.
As opposed
all
to
we're
me,
really doing is howling at the wind. So
many ones. I'm such a good proselytizer. You guys don't even realize just how many people's minds I've changed about this show just by being on here. Sometimes not even by being on here. Sometimes just by walking around in my backyard.
So, I'm ready for questions. So,
sure.
These are from the post. We haven't actually had a lot of actual questions in the chat. We did early on when we were still getting like set up and stuff, and High Powered and I both kind of answered them in the chat. No, like, where's media? Why is it taking so long to get started? Uh, how do you,
oh God, what's going on?
Did he
So-
get touched by the Pinkertons? Is he lying cold at the bottom of the Mississippi right now? What's going on?
yeah. So I just wanted to point out that like I see you guys chat. I have read every single thing that has been posted in chat. But I'm going to save this for just the questions that are put on the post because I don't want to be here for another 2.5 hours. Hold on. I have places to go, like work later in like 2 hours.
Yeah, my folks are coming in town, so.
Makito asked, how do you guys feel about the tree being the most powerful thing in the show? We kind of already referenced that with the whole pagan nonsense, but that's whatever. It's fine.
My
I
only
think so. I
answer-
think hold on. Because I just had like a deja vu moment. I think someone last volume made that theory and posted it in my comments. That I think that was like an actual theory last year, like last volume.
My only answer to that question is didn't have to cut me off like, meme edit. That's my answer.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like they honestly, if they had just done that as the entire thing, I would have probably been perfectly fine with it. I like I said, it was not needed. They didn't need anything more. The cat explained it fine. It was it was.
Yeah.
I only needed like the 2 sentences, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. That I understand how this thing worked. No, you fucking didn't. Here's a 10-minute long summary of how it actually worked.
Yeah.
But doesn't really all actually change all that much from the 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Also, it got really like vaguish at the end, where it started like. Did you guys catch that at the end of the beginning of it was like, okay, here's what happened, and then the end of it was like, oh yeah, certain stuff is just like,
Yeah,
completely.
it feels very like leaving itself open for the multiverse, which please God no.
No.
I don't
No,
need
we
this
gotta-
to be
we
part of
gotta-
Grant Morrison's stupid fucking 52 Earths nonsense from DC Comics.
It's like, no, we have to have a multiverse now.
No,
How
no,
are we-
you don't
how are we
understand. It's
supposed
old
to
canon.
monetize RWBY universe.
Well,
You don't understand. It's old.
Oh gosh, please no.
I mean, if the two brother gods have created 2 worlds and abandoned both to go presumably create more, then you can probably guess that they have probably actually created a fuck ton of them at this
Yeah.
point.
Please no.
God, I swear, if
Please,
at the end
please, no.
of like the next DC event, the gods from RWBY show up, I'm gonna kill myself. Second question, Cyber King. So I don't have any control over these. This is apparently the second question he posted, but it's the first one that's popping up. But how do you guys feel about the cat not escaping into Remnant and being killed off? That's fine. It's whatever.
I don't think we
My-
need another.
I am a little disappointed. I thought it might have been kind of interesting if the cat and Salem had teamed up, or and it might have made. I don't know. Might have answered that question of why did they have to go to an entire other world for all this character development, or
Yeah, it definitely would have
character development.
Yeah, it's definitely
hey,
the kind of
guys,
thing they couldn't just walk back.
Neo's just like a flesh puppet now, and she's being possessed by like a JPEG. It's not a good time.
Yeah, he's got the GIF powers. Like he's glitching through the system. He's completely clipped out into the next world. But yeah, no, that I don't think adding. Remember, guys, we were glad they subtracted Neo. Think about what it would mean had they added somebody. Like,
That's fair, I guess. Yeah.
okay, and think about like all the other villains. Of all of those, Like, one of them was kind of okay in Tyrion, and you know, that's like saying quite a good amount of good stuff about Tyrion. He's not that great. Like, I don't need more villains. The villains we've got are they're not even fine. They're trash, but I don't want more trash on top of my trash pile. I've got my trash pile set up perfectly in a pyramid right now, and if you add any more trash, it's going to fall like a Jenga tower, and I'll have to
Fair enough.
stack up the trash yet again.
Plus, we've still got Grim Summer Rose somewhere in the wings.
So,
Yeah,
I
I
can't
actually,
hope
agree
I
enough.
I
good
don't
point.
want her to come back to life or anything like that, but like just as like a
I don't.
terrifying thing that attacks, I wouldn't mind that.
Well, here's the thing with that. Actually, now that they've
Or a thing that just
bas-
shows up to fuck with Ruby's head.
well, now that they've basically cured Ruby's head, though, like it
True.
yeah, they like trying to fuck with it again is kind of that is kind of like fucking second verse same as the first. They're kind of rehashing old stuff at this point now. If they try that this time, like it would hit really
Yeah,
poorly.
fair
I don't
point.
think they should probably do that either. Not saying they won't.
Yeah, maybe she should have just been the Hound
Yeah, that probably
if they were
would.
gonna do that. Yeah.
Well, or at
I
least
don't, I
make
don't,
it
I don't know.
obscure who. Well, make it a little bit obscure who the Hound was, maybe to where it's like, oh, this could have been Summer, and then like there's
I don't.
different ways they could have gone about it,
Yeah.
but like I don't think. I will say this: we will definitely get more flashbacks in regards to her, probably, but I
I
don't
just don't
think.
know what else there is to tell. She went and picked a fight with Salem with Raven and and screwed up and probably got turned into a Grim. I don't know what else there is to say. But,
Well,
Yeah, so
I mean, it kind of like implies a little bit more about uh Raven and her's relationship. It seems as though they've altered how Raven was related to people. I would say that's another thing that
I
this
don't.
volume changed.
It's so hard to say with that flashback of Raven and Summer. Like, Raven seems to be like more agreeable, probably because she respected Summer as an equal. So
Well, they didn't
there's
say.
that. But like, I don't know. There's so many like open-ended things they could do with like
I
that
don't think
whole
they
little
have
bit.
any idea what they're doing with Raven.
I never said they
Yeah,
had any idea. I just saying like it seems like they might want to leave things open with her to use her. Not saying they even will use her.
Maybe.
Seem like the way that she got brought up in this seems like they could go multiple ways with it. Like there's
Yeah.
and I mean like the whole summer thing has been one of the big mystery boxes of the show since like day one. So I don't think they're just going to toss a mystery box to the side when they've based so much off of it.
they kind of de-armed mystery box, if that makes sense. Like, the bomb is still there, but it's not going to blow up. But all the explosive chemical bits are still there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
kind of what they did with that scene, if that makes sense.
yeah, I
to
mean
an
the
extent.
question is like, what was Summer trying to do, and would it have worked if she had more and or better backup? So, but that's like a volume 11 problem. I'm not wanting to speculate that far into the future. Um, Crystal Tiger 17 asked, "How do you guys feel about getting more exposition on the gods?" Hated it. Cyber King, I guess this was no. Yeah, I guess this was his first question. Um, how do you all feel about Ruby and Jean leaving the Ever After somewhat empty-handed, aside from more knowledge of the brothers? I think it's fine because this was definitely like a therapy volume for them. This was a story about them going to therapy. Uh,
Yeah,
I did.
they all subscribe to BetterHelp, which doesn't actually have real therapists working for it. So
yeah,
take with that what you need.
I do kind of wish that the armorer lady had, been like, you know what, good on you for choosing your scythe. Here's the bonus prize of the axe. You can have the axe, the cool axe too. Like,
Fuck.
Like
That actually would be that
Truth at the end of Full Metal
actually would have been
Alchemist.
good.
You did it!
Oh,
You
yeah.
passed the
That
test! Now be awesome!
that actually would have been better, like better payoff. It's like here's like a memento for like another memento for your mother, and then it's
Except
just
for in
like,
Full Metal Alchemist, he loses his powers.
hey,
which
Yeah.
is
when
what
he
he
gets a
wanted the whole
hot
time.
look, he gets a hot blonde Aryan goddess of a wife.
A
I would
tomboy,
trade.
true.
autistic,
I,
mechanic wife, Aryan goddess. Yes, the
I would
ultimate. Like,
trade any powers that I had for that. I'll fix all the roofs ever just to have that to come home to and just fucking plow that field like it's no one's business.
So,
which
Fair
he
enough.
did.
Blade
He
Charge,
gets
by
all
the
that.
way, donated $2 and said, "Is the cat Salem cat?" I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna say no, just to
No.
err on the side
I'll
of
say
caution.
sure, just to be contrarian.
I mean, witches have cats sometimes, so if a witch wanted a cat, that it would make sense. But I'm not really sure if the cat is Salem cat, or if Salem is the cat's cat, or if two cats come together just to have a good time, meowing in the moonlight. I can't really tell you, man. This is another one of those mysteries.
So, a stereotypical gamer asked, "If this is the last episode ever, does that change your opinion of the series as a whole?" This isn't gonna be the last episode. That's not even a possibility in my mind.
I'm pretty sure they confirmed Volume 10, right?
They are trying to
Greenlit?
they are trying to get it produced by Crunchyroll. They're trying to get
Oh
Crunchyroll
God.
involved in its production, which right now
Is there any way we can make
right now they're focusing on RWBY X Justice League coming out this weekend, and there's also a part 2 for that coming out at some point, because there are two comics. There was Justice League go to Remnant, and then RWBY goes to Gotham City. So I think maybe part 2 will be that.
God, Rooster Teeth really was like, hey, is there any way we can possibly make the production of this show even worse? What if we got Crunchyroll involved, guys? Yeah, great idea. Let's let's hit them up. Hey, hey Crunchyroll, I've got $1 billion idea. No, $1 billion as in we're going to lose $1 billion. Yeah, I knew you'd go for it. Yeah, let's do it.
Man, well, I don't know. I think it's so I don't. Ooh, it's hard to say how um Crunchyroll profits off of this current volume of RWBY, which I would assume for the normie audience, they probably really like this volume. We're a bunch of critics, and we're all just huffing our own farts. I'm already 4 beers into this, and so in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if I'm assuming just Crunchyroll's just gonna front the money to for production costs, but I don't know. I assume they probably had it's probably greenlit already. It's just who's gonna who's signing that check to hire everyone to hire up for the production over the next year and a half or whatever.
Yeah,
So that's kind of
yeah.
the big question. It's
See if they can
it's
hold on
Well,
to
probably
this
and a
production.
lot of the
yeah.
infrastructure that existed when Volume 9 was going into production is no longer there at Rooster Teeth. They no longer have an actual dedicated animation studio.
Mm.
Oh wow. Who are they getting their animation done by? Who's doing that?
They just hire people off of Fiverr.
That happened after a lot of the principal stuff on Volume 9 was done, and that's why this was on Crunchyroll, because Crunchyroll footed the rest of the bill and got it finished. It was all. It was all. It
Okay.
was all. It was all pandemic stuff. Like it shut down because of the pandemic. They had to
Oh, that's
shut.
right.
They
Yeah.
had to shut it down, and then everyone left, and then the 2 or 3 people threw a big hissy fit over dumb things, and now a lot of them aren't coming back, and there's a whole mess that
And so,
I have absolutely zero interest in.
Look,
and so
Yeah.
I'll
it
be
has
honest.
become a girl off the street, and Crunchyroll is the sugar daddy now. All right,
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
see how it is.
like I'll be honest. I'm very pro worker, but if you agree to be a contract worker, you are literally signing up for exactly what you're getting as a contract worker. It's like, oh, I did the thing that I was contracted to do. Oh, I don't have a job anymore. Wow, this is super unfair and stuff. It was like, bro, you did the thing that you said you were gonna do and you got paid for it. So, like,
Not only that, like because of the fact that the contractor is not going to be staying there, they know that they can whip you like a dog while you're doing it, and you should know that beforehand as well. Like the only reason to do contractor work is if, like, you can, if you're absolutely
the pay
certain
is really good.
that yes, that the pay is good and that you can, and that you have multiple jobs that you can line up in succession. If you
I
don't,
make 25.50 an hour. I would not take a 1099 job, which is a contracting job, for less than 80K a year because I have to do all my own taxes and all that fun stuff because, whoever's paying me isn't doing that for me. So keep that in mind if you ever get a 1099 job and if the money isn't double what you're currently making, tell them to take a hike. That's financial advice. You can take that to the bank. Oh, and
basically,
we did get another $5 donation for Quiet Message. Was it nice how much Juniper just vibed through the whole volume with a great big smile? Well, Quiet Message, you should thank Coop for that because Coop was the actual actor for
I
Juniper this
I
entire
love
volume.
that we have. Well, first of all, I love that we have channel lore. Uh, I think I can end it there. But so carrying on with the questions. Do you cross a bunch of numbers? Uh, do you think they'll try and give Raven some sort of redemption arc? Um, maybe. I mean, she's one of the powerhouses because she's still the Spring Maiden, so she's one of the powerhouses in
it's
Remnant.
gonna.
Um, so she could come back and like have a moment or whatever, having gone through some
I mean,
off-screen character development with Ty after Volume 5. But like, I don't care about
Is that what they're
Raven.
calling it?
I
I
don't care
mean,
about her as a person or as a character.
look,
Yeah, and I think
the
they're
entire
probably.
idea,
I think
like,
you're right that they're just gonna do it all off screen, and they're just gonna be like, they're just gonna try and pretend that Volume 5 never happened.
I would, I would say that, they, like I said, the scene with her and Summer did kind of leave the door open for a lot of stuff they could do with her. I don't think, on the one hand, doing it off screen is kind of lazy-ish, but like on the other, what I'm not sure what they would do with her on screen to get her like that. She'd she'd basically have to like they'd have to basically add in new backstory to her, then have her fess it up as though that were how it was the entire time. I feel like, which is kind of, that's kind of like an underhanded move. They could technically do it, like if they've got a gap in some backstory, they could probably have her come and be like, oh, actually, this is how this stuff was working, and that's why everything was like X.
Speaking of
It's
Raven's
a little bit of a
redemption
soft
arc,
win like that.
I'm gonna reach into the chest here and pull out an old high poweredism that y'all might remember from the bygone days of volumes 4, 5, and 6. Uh, you want to know how they're gonna do the reconciliation off screen? It's just gonna be like Raven's just gonna show up at Ty's house and she's be
Well,
like, "I'm sorry."
Well, she's
and Ty's gonna
supposedly
be like,
there
oh yeah,
because
like
of
literally
the volume 5 post credit scene was her teleporting to Ty.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Ty is gonna be doing some serious fucking pipe work on fucking Raven as a payback for
Uh-huh.
her
They,
going out and
I'm,
buying a pack of
Jesus.
cigarettes and a gallon of milk. No, that's the truth, man. Raven's still a hot piece of ass, man.
oh
Ty,
yeah,
look.
full on
Ty is the Giga Chad breeding stallion of his generation, just like
Ty,
John is the Giga Chad breeding stallion of his generation.
Ty,
Entire team.
yeah, Ty has been cooped up in a log cabin on his own for like, I don't know how many years.
Just
Like,
imagine the gallons of cum that Ty
Oh
has
my
pumped
god.
into fucking Raven of between volumes 5 and volumes 9.
she could have gotten pregnant again. She could have had menopause and still gotten pregnant off of the sheer amount of vril that Ty has just by logging in his cabin so long.
So the milkman asked, because, of course we had that
That's
discussion.
perfect. That's
As,
perfect.
as the next question is from the
Ultimate-
milkman. So is Neo the Mad Hatter of the Ever After now? She's more like the God
I
King.
guess so.
You do got a hat, and she is crazy. So, Mad Hatter status confirmed, possibly.
So for the sake of time, I'm skipping things that we definitely answered in the podcast because like we've already been going for over an hour and a half, and we started late.
Oh wait, I gotta stop you. I have to read out a $2 dono. She apologized with sex and maybe a new kid. Well, Raven's probably in like her mid to late 30s, so it's doable.
She's
She
at
can
least
go
like
home tomorrow.
39.
She comes back with Ty. They're like, "Oh yeah, we got back together. Here's your new kid, sister." Uh, what would they name her? I don't know. Fucking what's a combination of ruby and the color yellow? Topaz, I guess. Topaz is your new kid's sister. There you go.
Topaz or
Oh
Citrin or
god.
whatever.
The
Yeah.
color topazes?
Topaz is like usually.
Yeah, topaz can be there's a lot of different types of topaz that have like different
Fair enough.
impurities that cause it to be different colors.
Geology lore.
Yeah. Stardust Warrior 16 asked, "Doesn't it seem like Alex suffered the most from cut content?" I don't think there's anything else that we could have had, aside from
I'm thinking it might have been the
well,
cat.
Alex and the Jabberwocker were the actual red herrings in this entire
yeah.
volume. That's my
So
personal opinion.
the reason why I would even think that it was cut content is because she has like an actual character model and it's in the opening. But every time that they show her in the actual volume, it's the 2D World of Remnant animation. So I think maybe there was a
Isn't that part
time where this
John
exposition
hallucinates
dump
her?
was even longer.
Holy shit! What? Hmm. How? What
I
could they
don't
have
know,
possibly said?
but
Yeah.
that's what this
So
question made me
that
think.
might not be a bad thing if it was the case.
So Anna asked, she because I'm assuming Anna is a she. I've never met a dude named Anna, but was Ruby hypocritical for being mad at Summer for lying? A little, but like the
I mean, how
thing
much of it was
is
anger and
it's not
just
so much like it is just illusion, a hero's lie or whatever, and it's that like nobody knows what actually happened to Summer, what Summer was trying to accomplish, and everyone has either not known or given her the runaround. Raven never said anything. Ozpin claims that he has no idea what happened. Bro claims that he has no idea what happened. Ty very clearly didn't know what happened. She was the one he was the one she lied to. So there's that like lack of transparency, but I don't think Ruby is hypocritical because Ruby had her reasons for emitting information from Ironwood, reasons that were validated by the end of that volume. Like Ruby had a reason to not trust Ironwood because they trusted Lionheart and it blew up in their face. They trusted Osmond and it blew up in their face. They trusted Crow and he went into a drunk depression that nearly got them all killed. So
Hey, that's
yeah,
very
Ruby has
offensive. I've only
a
had 4 beers. I could still drive.
Crow drank a lot more than you did in Volume 6, in the first half of Volume
To
6.
be fair, Crow was like the least offensive of all of those. I don't know why you wouldn't trust a drunk. That's terrible. Ruby should know better.
That's a Jack Sparrowism, but let's get on to the
Yeah.
next question though.
I mean, I'm also. Go ahead.
Sorry. Not all the things on this post were questions, so now I have to scroll. Actually, I think that might have been the last one, because everyone else is just like asking for Volume 10.
You get no volume 10 from us, kids.
It's honestly hard to predict volume 10. It's not like the other volumes, which are a little bit easier to predict. So
yeah, I'm looking forward.
Topaz. There you go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all the things that we hate, or that I personally hate about RWBY, coming back
with a vengeance.
Yeah,
I look
yeah.
forward
This volume was a nice break. You know, it was a nice break away from Oscar and Rand and Nora and Salem and Cinder and the Huntsmen and the Kingdoms and the military and the Grimm and all that stuff. That just we're gonna get it all back. We're gonna get all that back, and we're also going to get like Team Sun returning and like Team Coffee returning because last we checked they were also in Vacuo because of those stupid books. Like it's all coming back.
Fuck.
It's all Volume 10. Maybe I like Volume 10. Baby, yeah, I love Volume 9. I really liked it. I don't know if it's my favorite volume of the series. Volume 6 might still take the cake. But Volume 10, as excited and as hopeful as I could be for Volume 10, I know deep down in my heart that it's going to suck. Because a lot of the reason Volume 9 didn't end up sucking was because it didn't have any of that. And Volume 10 has to have all that.
Oh yeah, it just like an abusive relationship. You just keep on coming back after your intimate partner like puts the hot iron on your face again. Oh,
that's how it feels reading DC Comics, honestly.
Yeah.
So I have to bring this up, and I don't know why I notice it now, but I've been staring at the screen in the chat. So Blake has knee pads on her outfit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the
knee
joke.
Those knee pads are definitely going to get a lot of use in the near future
Jesus
from Yang.
Christ.
Yeah,
I don't know. God, I actually look forward to Blake, Yang, and Sun interacting. I hope that they actually make good on that promise.
That'll be so good, like the weird drama, because like they were like still like a couple.
I think.
Oh no, it's not.
Like,
No,
I think it would be really funny if Sun is like very weirdly supportive. Like trying to.
That would be horrible.
No. Sun is being supportive because he wants to be the sperm donor.
Yeah,
that's it right there. That's the trick.
Oh boy.
That's like
he wants to be sandwiched between them.
It won't be horrible. The only thing I truly wish for in Volume 10 is just to see Weiss in the Lawrence of Arabia outfit, like cut off.
We need new costume changes for sure.
And this time, one that actually makes sense with the weather.
I need to see my high society British woman riding a horse and commanding a bunch of fighters of the Mujahideen in glorious combat against the empires.
I just want like all the RWBY cast in like semi-sheer like courtesan outfits, because it's like super hot and it's not for fan service reasons, guys.
Yeah.
they're all just a bunch of weird pervs. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's a reason why they're all wearing like these semi-sheer. It's like, oh wait, is that like the outline of a nipple there? No, it's not. Shut up.
I want Blake to be dressed in a full black hijab, though, with like only the eye slits.
Yeah,
And I
and
want,
Blake and like the episode stops for like a good like I don't even know how long like a Muslim like prayer session is though, but like the episode's like an hour long just because like Blake has to do like her whole prayer, and then the episode resumes.
yeah, and then she gets basically like pulled aside by a bunch of guys every like 3 minutes because she accidentally showed ankle, so she needed to be beaten.
Yeah. So that's all we got as far as that goes.
Oh man, maybe I'll do the streams on the next time for the
No,
podcast. since I've got
it's my keyboard is being weird. Like I only lost connection like one time, and it was very early on in this podcast. The rest of it has just been OBS and my keyboard not cooperating with each other.
I have one parting statement related to what Blade charged Donoed to any women that are listening to this podcast. This is a some words you can live by if you want to get something that you want from your significant other.
Oh boy.
A well-laid floor is easily walked on. Just keep that in your back pocket, okay?
What
So
the
thank
fuck?
you all for watching. Tune in next time when Dude and I will try to kidnap Socklacard to talk about Ruby X Justice League, and other than that, and I'm planning on something a little special after that. But after that, that'll be the last like podcast until Volume 10 probably. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the however many years of listening to us be dumb and sometimes
Yeah,
smart,
being dumb
but
idiots.
hopefully funny and entertaining, because that's all that I really set out to be anymore, is entertaining. Not funny though. I'm not a good comedian. That's kind of the running gag on my channel. Thank you all for
And before
watching.
we cut,
Oh, yep.
I do want to say one thing. I promise I will read Media's book. I have it. I will read it. And I will do a interview slash podcast bit with Media. And I will make
Yes.
him as uncomfortable as possible throughout the entire podcast.
Yes,
And
yes,
Media.
we should have cameras going for that one too.
Oh yeah, no, I'll fire up the webcam for that.
Yeah.
And then if you ever come to me, I'm taking you out for drinks and you are getting drunk.
Yeah, that not gonna not gonna happen. Anyway, yeah, thank you all for watching, and catch you all
Later.
later.